Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod Show.
What?
Oh my
You
God,
forgot
my
our name?
brain. I did with Lila and Pat. I was like, wait,
Good
is
job,
it
Layla.
Wednesday or Sunday? It is Wednesday. Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. It is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Hi, Pat. How are you? How have you been?
I am good. I'm actually very happy to be doing the show because it means I have a beer for one. I get to see
Oh, I like
you.
it.
We get to show some funny stuff and
Yes.
actually cover some news and
hope that we don't get shut down midstream the way we did on our shit show for showing.
Those bastards.
I know,
and they blocked one of our old videos for showing a comedian.
Yeah, which makes me wonder what's happening with the algorithm and how that all works. I've fought several of them and we've been reinstated. Like, we're showing clips, we're discussing them. It's a news commentary show. But some of them just take longer than others. But I don't mind that so much because that happens after the show. When we get shut down midstream, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about it. And our Sunday show might have to have a new format because I don't know if we can keep showing comedians. It's kind of that part of it a little risky.
Yeah, it's such a bummer, but it's not worth getting shut down for. But we'll see. We're gonna try and come up with something foolproof.
Yeah, we'll brainstorm.
I'll
just tell dad jokes. It'll for 20 minutes.
It'll be all just puns, super funny puns. We saying hi to everybody. Hello. Hi, Kimmy. And we've got Kim. Hi, Ossington, the teddy bear. We got Viola. Yes, it is a Wednesday. Thank you. I needed that reminder. Absolutely. Love it. Yes, absolutely. Love those emojis, the runs. I got my jug of wine here. My what's the thing that we did, the Borg? My wine glass is
we
pretty
should
much
bring
a Borg.
back the Borg. Nothing felt like a real political news show than drinking a big old milk gallon full of blue Borg.
That was pretty good.
I did enjoy that, actually.
Yeah, that was fun. Hi, Adria. Yeah, we kind of, we slowed down a little bit on a different drink every week. I think because I just kept coming back to vodka and wine. It was less fun.
It's kind of tricky. And I have the best beer store in town 2 blocks from my house. And I like beer. So it's kind of part of it. And shout out to Bike Dog, who I'm drinking today, a local brewer. This one is called Dog Years.
Okay.
But they always, I think the owner was a veterinarian or something. So they do a lot of animal related stuff. So, and the beer's good. So
that's really nice. Yeah. I'm just drinking my same Pinot Noir with the 14.5% alcohol by volume. Important.
Do you know how bougie that sounds after I tell you I'm drinking beer and you're like, Pinot Noir?
Okay, fine, bougie. But let me just tell you, because sorry, but I do get it at Ralph's. And I know I've said this before, but a bottle of the wine that I drink, I'll say it just in case
my beer.
Just in case they feel like giving me some kind of endorsement thing. It's Castle Rock, but you have to get the Pinot Noir that's California cuvee, because if you get Mendocino County, it's only 13.5%. But anyway,
gotcha.
It's like $17 a bottle, which I would never spend. Okay. If you buy 6 of them, you get 30% off. Then plus there's like a Ralph's thing. You get an extra $10 off your groceries. In the end, each 6-pack, each bottle is $6.29 for a bottle.
Really? And
so stick that in your bougie hat.
Wow.
I know.
Literally joking over here.
It's making you crazy. You better switch to the bougie Pinot Noir.
That's a good value. And I do like wine a lot, actually. I used to go wine tasting a lot with girlfriends and whatnot, we live not that far from Sonoma in Napa.
Right.
And if you have the choice and you're an outsider, not from around here, and you're visiting California, go to Sonoma. I mean, if money is an issue, because Sonoma still offers a lot of free tastings where if you go to Napa, every tasting you still are paying, $10, $15 to drink some of their wines. But old Sonoma still still you can find, and the wine is just as good. It's not better than Napa. It's just Napa's bougier.
Yeah. Yeah. I am decidedly not bougie. Mine even has a screw top.
Nothing wrong with that.
Some people say that's better, but it does very easy access. And yeah. Anyway, that's all so uninteresting. We're just trying to keep things light before we get to the hell on earth that we've created in this world. It's just unbelievable.
This is true. Should we shout out to the members?
Yes, let's do it. A nice. Oh, we both did it at the same time. Go ahead.
Here we go. There we Heroes go. And Sheroes. Let's see. I think we got some names blocked by.
Oh yeah, banner. let me take away our banner for a second. I didn't want to forget to do our. There we go. We thank you guys so much. Seriously, we are so grateful to all of you. Thank you. It really is helpful when it comes to dealing with StreamYard, and we're really grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And all right, are you taking that down? Because I'm on a different page. No, I'll do everything. It's fine. I got it. Now I do want to do the thing, the little bit of housekeeping here, to please make sure to like and subscribe and smash that notification bell, especially like with what happened on Sunday. I think because we got cut off in the middle and then we were able immediately to come back up, but it's like you have to create a different link through StreamYard. So if you have your notifications on, you immediately can just see, which is why I think we only dropped like 1 or 2 people, but it seemed like pretty much everybody was able to make it back on. So thank you. We're hoping that doesn't happen again. But anyway, thank you for doing all that stuff that we're supposed to say in the podcast world.
Definitely. So let's see. I think we need to start with a cheers to something. Every week we start with something good. And do you want to set this up here?
Yeah. Okay. The cheers is protesters who are blocking the entrance of the Elbit Arms Systems Company factory in Shenstone, England. It is one of the Israeli arms manufacturers that's in England. So these are protesters making their voices heard.
We won't be silent. Stop the bombing now. We are the people. We won't be silent. Stop the bombing now. We are the people. We won't be silent. Stop the bombing now.
Cheers to them. Thank you. You know, I don't know if you've all been seeing, and we probably should have just put together a huge montage, but like all through Paris in like protests in New York. And, you know, it sounds silly and sort of like trifling, but, you know, when it's raining someplace and people still come out, you know, that takes an effort. And there are people in the thousands all across the world who are continuing to do this day in, day out. You know, unfortunately, obviously, it's not stopped anything yet. So I know that can feel incredibly depressing and deflating. But
this truly is like the end of the apartheid state in Israel. It's going to end. Now, it's going to end at the back of all these Palestinian innocent people. But it's not, we're not going back to normal. And what's nice about all the world solidarity is no matter what our own government can do to shut us down.
Yeah.
You know, you got protesters in Japan, you got protesters in Africa. Every nation is protesting, even ones that don't support Israel. Their governments don't. They're protesting businesses there. Like everybody gets that this is a genocide, needs to stop. So
yeah. And I think I really do also think, because, you know, there's been a lot of talk about like, oh, you know, what, I mean, really dismissive, derisive, I think ignorant talk about what are these college students doing? Most of them couldn't even, you know, place Israel on a map or had never even heard of Hamas, you know, a year ago. And that might be true for some people, but I think what everyone's failing, what those people are failing to grasp who say those things is that an enormous part of it is because of the horrors that we are watching every single day. And somehow each one like is worse than the day before on some level, or just in a different direction. And I think what people understand is what they're doing there, they will now do to the rest of us. Like, so yes, it is 100% about, or whatever, I'm going to script the percentages, but like about what's happening there right now. But I think it feels so interwoven with every other aspect of all of our lives. Like right here in the US, where we know that our police are trained by the IDF using some of the exact same techniques that they learned from IDF soldiers, kneeling on somebody's neck, like what they did with George Floyd. I mean, that was an IDF technique elevates it on some level, you know, where our finances are going, where the priorities are, where, you know, like who dictates what our countries sign up for. I think it feels so much bigger than there's nothing worse or bigger than a genocide, but it feels bigger than just this one piece of it.
And it absolutely is. I mean, it's our government being called to account because they're not listening to us on anything.
Right.
And so like, if you won't even listen to the public and move to where we stand on this, on killing innocent people, like what good do we have? What chance do we have to fight for Medicare for all or whatever we want to fight for? So, you know, it's angst over all these issues we're not getting heard on as the public, but then obviously seeing all these pictures every day on social media and knowing, you know, that leads to more research. So you understand the situation. It's not that these are naive people. They understand the situation. They're invested in this. And, you know, if we're not getting changed, you know, people aren't going to stop protesting until we get some change. So, you know, we'll get some change on Israel, but what happens after that, I think, is going to be interesting. I mean, I think we'll see a convergence of the labor movement and these kids, hopefully, into the next Wall Street 2, part 2.
Occupy, is that what you mean?
Occupy. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so, because clearly nothing will be changing at the ballot box, as we know. Deborah, that's really awesome. That my 23-year-old twin daughters are acutely aware of what is going on between Israel and the Palestinians. Whenever people dismiss young adults, they're just trying to silence the next generation. I agree entirely. Yeah, I mean, the same people who are always dismissive about young people and the left, and you know, and 20 years later, they're going to pretend that they were on the same side. And it's, you know, that one tweet that I think we all loved, which is, you know, liberals are for every civil rights movement except for the one we're currently in, and against every war except the one we're currently in. And it's pretty stunning if you feel like an extra layer of sadness and hopelessness. Go on to Facebook and see how people are still talking about lies that have been completely debunked, and there's just very little, there's just a huge divide between young people and most young people and most older people. It's just different.
There really is, because they've been disappointed from day one from their government. They've been lied to. Their future truly is bleak. They're getting told the economy is great right now.
Yeah.
Well, they can't afford to live in an apartment on their own at 25, you know.
Yeah. Thanks, Will Stansel and James Carville. Ugh.
Yeah, but I mean, the nice thing to see out of this is that because they're so tone deaf to the public's view, people are waking up to elections aren't going to do something. So we got these actions like actually stopping the weapon shipments themselves. Like we're sidestepping. We're going around the government to stop things on our own.
Circumventing.
Thank you very much. That's what I was looking for. We're circumventing the government's intentions and stopping things on our own, which is what we have to do on a lot of these things until they listen to us and change policy.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. I just want to get to a couple of these comments before I know we're about to. Did I get everybody? Because yeah, okay. Something fun before we start all the rest of the stuff. Is that what we're doing?
Sure. What do you got? Something fun?
I don't know. Are we going to spin the wheel?
Spin the wheel.
What we do?
Let's spin the wheel.
We're going to spin the wheel.
Spin
That's
the wheel.
my job.
We'll have
these
some
days.
shots.
I'm the wheel spinner. There we go. All right, here we go.
Oh, you should puff one of these days. You smoke occasionally.
Wait 1 second. I can't hear you. I've got another whole thing open. Am I deleting this or no? We have another one, right? Okay, so I'm just closing it. Wait a second.
You're frozen. So, oh no, you came back. So,
oh my God.
What I was saying is, yeah. I know you partake in the puffery once in a while, right?
Me?
So, yes.
No, I have edibles at night. I have edibles at night.
I think it would be fun for you to do a show super high.
Okay, that would be fun. I was taking edibles like a year and a half ago when I was trying not to drink so much alcohol, and I would have edibles, and every once in a while they kicked in, and once we were doing an interview and they kicked in, and I'm just not at all aware of how I present,
That's perfect.
It wasn't pretty, but yeah, that'd be a funny episode.
Yeah, we'll do a pup after hours or something.
Okay, I like it. All right. All right,
puppets.
So we have puppets. Let's do it. I like the GoPro on the little train or whatever.
Yeah, I think that whole thing needed some music though, didn't it? It was like,
yeah, but okay. So here's the thing, you guys, we are coming up against so many different issues. Every once in a while, there's like a little bit of music underneath, and music is amazing, and that's what jazzes up movies and clips, and sends our souls soaring or whatever. I love music. I don't want to be disrespectful to creators ever, but sometimes there's music underlying, and then we get struck on that. So we'll have a lot of awkward silences. Yeah.
That just reminded me of, everybody knows Peter Dow, right?
Yeah.
Peter Dow briefly had a podcast, and I would love Dow to come on the show, and Dow is now an ally and whatnot, but his podcast was so boring. And I know I'm not saying we have the most exciting podcast in the world, but he had literal elevator music introing it and whatnot. And like, he would talk over the elevator music, and it was like,
he was trying to be a calming influence, very PBS.
Yeah. Oh, it was rough, but he's never coming on now.
No, he's going to come on. Eventually we'll get him on. He's got to meet his alter ego.
Yeah. Come on. One of these days.
All right. Are we going to hash it out? Is it time?
Yeah. Let's get to it. Here we go.
Find out. So it's fuck around and find out.
I love that. We need to boost the audio. Fuck around and find out in
I didn't realize it was so low.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, so starting with COVID, the COVID update. We are now at New cases, 54,482, and new deaths, 434, which is putting the nation pretty much at 17.5% as a nation. And World Health Organization recommends mitigation measures when the positivity was over 5%. So just for everybody to know where we are.
And also notice the where to go? I am on the wrong slide. Notice the asterisk here, limited data. So without reporting, we're hearing anecdotally from a lot of people in hospitals that they're seeing a surge right now that's not being reported.
I think under 50% are reporting right now.
Yeah. So, we are really putting ourselves at risk we have the technology to track this. It's not complicated. They just don't want to track it. It's truly Trump. If you don't test, there's no COVID kind of situation. So
exactly. And I know I just got an alert from some like med health thing that I follow that doctors are suggesting that we need updated vaccines. Like we're always creating the vaccine for the current variant, which will no longer be the variant once the vaccine actually comes out, that booster. So we're just always behind, not collecting data, hospitals not enforcing mask mandates, even in pediatric oncology. Like it's just flabbergasting. We are just letting everything by the wayside, and nothing has changed about COVID except that there is less mortality. But all the other downstream effects.
But really, there's less acute mortality. So long term, we're not tracking what happens to people who have it 5, 6, 7 times. We know it's not going to be good. But that's one issue. But the other issue is this was my pinned tweet for like 2-3 years. We're a mutation factory. We are the perfect level of not protected as a society, not doing enough to circumvent is my word of the day.
Look at you. And shout out, by the way, Viola previously just gave me props for coming up with that word, but now I'm out. Don't expect my brain to come up with anything else. Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, but we've created the perfect petri dish for constant mutations of COVID. It's just going to keep going and going. So even if you think things are fine as they are, and maybe most people clear it out of the system after 5-6 years, that's what we got now. But we're just spinning and making new versions of this, and eventually, like this mythology that pathogens mutate to a more benign state is not accurate. It's not backed up by the science at all. Eventually, when you create mutations enough, you get a mutation that is deadlier and will completely bypass COVID, your previous immunity. It's inevitable. It's not a question of if, it's when. I mean, it is.
We are like the people who only do half of a course of antibiotics, which is just enough to stop feeling the effects so acutely, but allows the whatever is in you to learn and change. That's where we are right now. Yeah. I also just did see, and we can talk about it next week because I didn't have enough time to like dive deep on it, but they have sort of figured out whatever the spike protein is that affects the cells that normally fight cancer do not fight cancer. I mean, they affect those cells and make them less able to fight cancer. And so as we are seeing spikes in, pediatric pancreatic cancer, or I don't even know what other forms of cancer, it's not just because of, like, I think there are people who tried to quibble with that because there have been epidemiologists who have been talking about this for a while now and saying like, well, what's the control group? How would you know that? Like, could it be other factors? And yes, of course it could. It could be a million factors. We poison our air, we poison our water, we poison our food, all of those things.
Right. But once you capture a mechanism in place happening,
being decreased, its ability is being decreased to fight cancer, that is a direct line of cause and effect. So yes, even if your symptoms are not acute, it could still have really horrifying results down the line, and they're just not going to talk about it at all. All right, what else do we got?
Just mask up, people, please. I know everybody watching probably has heard the message at least and gets it, but right now there's 1 in 67 Canadians are actively infectious with COVID. US 1 in 118. So
why are we so much better than Canada and England? Is it because they don't have younger people getting vaccines? I think.
I truly don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, it could be the schools. I'm just hypothesizing. The weather's not that different up there.
So it's not I think it has to do with their booster schedules and who they allowed to get. I mean, not that we have great, vaccines, that people aren't really signing up for the boosters anymore, unfortunately. But I think that might be part of it. And they have said that listen, this might all come out and be a total lie. And we were captured. I was captured by, go ahead.
Well, no, I think Cora just nailed it. That's probably it. It's probably simply the reporting system. We probably are on par with Canada. I mean, let's be honest, we're not tracking.
And other countries are. Yeah.
Sorry, you had a point.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't believe anything about Big Pharma, but I have seen so many scientists whom I respect who are appalled by the corporate capture of the CDC and public health agencies, but they still believe in the science of the vaccine. So that's what I'm kind of going with. But, I just who the hell knows? I've taken every single one. I don't know. I have 8 in me or something. I don't know how this is going to pan out. And can we keep doing this? That's a lot to keep doing I didn't do 8 this year, but over the course of 3 years. Anyway,
I don't actually personally have any fear of getting something from being vaxxed multiple times. Honestly, I don't. I think our immune systems aren't built that way.
I don't either.
It's like being exposed to a cold every year kind of thing. Or
getting the flu shot every year or whatever.
Because you're getting basically with the vaccine a little micro exposure to the thing, build up some immunity stuff, and it's out of your system in a day or two. The actual vaccine is. So, if you don't have an acute response to the vaccine, I don't fear long-term responses from it.
Right. I hope so.
Naive. I don't know. I'll watch Jimmy Dore and see what those guys say.
See what the people who do their own research.
They're questioning. They're doing their own research. Exactly.
Yeah. But it's funny because I am too. But I am too. And so when they make fun of people, but when the CNN crowd or the corporate media makes fun of people doing their own research, they are actually doing their version of horseshoe theory. They're kind of making fun of the COVID aware and the COVID minimizers at the same time, because if I hadn't been doing my own research, I wouldn't know about what's really happening with COVID.
Hey, here's the thought. Why doesn't the news do some research?
No,
why don't?
But then what do you want Trump to win?
Yeah, that's true. Trump's going to win.
Honestly,
I'm wondering when Trump wins, because we're at the when Trump wins stage of this election.
People will go back to masking.
Barring some miracle. How soon? Count down to the death ticker coming back, or count down to something is going to be immediately. We're going to know. Oh, they didn't do that under Biden, and they're doing it.
Well, they'll go back to the fact checking. Remember Wall Street? Was it Wall Street Journal or Washington Post? Glenn Kessler? I think it was Washington Post. One of the places had the fact checker. Only for Trump. He's the only president who's ever lied. Trump. Okay. Anyway, what else do we have? I think the 3 seasons of COVID are bad. Very bad, worse, and worst. Exactly.
And we're probably maybe we're in mid very bad worse, but we're not people are out there acting like it's a great time to just free ball some COVID.
It's just that idea that it's just a cold. I mean, I know that now when I ever go out to see friends and I say, hey, I'm really sorry, but I'm still not eating indoors. And, they're like there's a real, and liberal. It's like, get over it already. It's just a cold. I've had it 3 times. What's your problem? Like that kind of attitude towards me. It's through the whole country. Yeah.
I think we are at a dangerous spot because so many people have had it several times and not died from it. And so they're like, well, I didn't die
not that
from
big
it.
A deal. Yeah.
I didn't love it, but I didn't die from it, which doesn't have any bearing. Like that gives you a false sense of security that you're not going to get long COVID or something.
Yeah.
Like, they might even believe long COVID is real and know people with it, but they think, well, my immune system is strong because I didn't have too severe of a response the last few times or whatever. So
because they haven't done their own research and they don't know that even very mild cases of COVID can lead to disastrous.
But one thing I did want to pass on, I think most people know this, but if you do get COVID, most people in the COVID aware community and doctors are recommending 6 weeks of super low energy. So don't exert yourself.
Like radical rest. Yeah.
6 weeks.
No exercise, that kind of deal. Yeah. Cora, I see this and that's horrible. I haven't boosted because the only place for me to get is a CVS or Walgreens. I have a P100, but not going in with all those sick people regardless. So I just stay away from everyone. I get that. I mean, I'm lucky that I mostly get to just stay away from everyone, although I have, a kid who goes to school. But
I've heard of alternate programs for people. I don't know if anyone has any tips on how to get the shot not in CVS or something. Like, please share it.
I don't know if they would do this at a CVS or Walgreens. They probably wouldn't. But like forever, I'm a germaphobe. So like even when I would bring my kids to the pediatrician, I wouldn't wait in the waiting room. I would just be like, we're just right outside. So when you're ready to bring us back into a room, because like everybody there is sick and I just didn't want that to be happening. But I don't know if
isn't it crazy? Like I remember during, the beginning of COVID, my friend Lola had to take her dog to the vet and I went with her and they had us wait in the car, just to go into the vet, which you should do. Like, this is like the way you responsibly handle a virus like this,
It's also so much easier for everybody, actually. Like there were so many things that we put in place for COVID that made, I think, everyone's life nicer.
Last week, Friday, I guess, I went to a care home to do some electrical work, and the care home has a sign on the door about masking, wear a mask if you have symptoms of flu, blah, blah, blah. Great. And we're masked and they wanted us to be masked, which is great because I'm always masked regardless. But like they had half the care workers not masked and half of them masking. Well, none of the elderly people in the place were masking. So it's like, don't bring an outside thing into it, but our actual employees that work here are going to be bringing something in because they're not masking. Like the logic is people are so broken. And these are like nurses taking care of these people. And they were all like, 70 plus. I mean, it was an elder care facility. It's just amazing.
Gone is the idea of the bubble. The bubble isn't just somebody you like to hang out with. That's not what the bubble means. All right. And then just because, of course, we are not in any state of preparedness anywhere in this whole country, it is not comforting to know that we are prepping for the possibility of increased risk to human health from the bird flu. Approximately 350 recently exposed farm workers are being monitored because, I think China just put a ban on any poultry coming in from the States, which I'm surprised I wasn't already there before, because I know that like when Britain was having mad cow disease issues a few years ago, they were like, we don't want anything from the US. Thank you very much. But again, like we don't have data collection systems at a national level that's like sort of holistic where everybody's communicating with each other. as we talked about a few weeks ago, we know that the big ag, like the state agricultural organizations, refuse to let the CDC in to talk to their workers and to do any kind of survey of what's happening on the farms. So we are just kind of operating in the dark. So no, we are not prepared for the next pandemic on any level at all.
We're reverse prepared in a sense, because as soon as bad news comes out about this, it's going to be the same split of like, oh, they're doing it again. And what if it happens like around November? What if it's right around election time and that we have to all quarantine, or, you know,
they're going to say like, oh, Democrats are using this to deflate the voter turnout, or Republicans are, whichever way. Like
biohazards are going to be the new, we went to war. So, you know, that old school thinking was, if a president went to war, he would get reelected because in war times, people back at the president.
Rally behind,
So now it's like, that's going to be the spin. And it's just going to be crazy. We're all going to die at the next pandemic. I'm just telling you right now.
I mean, honestly, a quick death would be preferable to what I'm imagining, because the thing that makes me the saddest is to see like the levels of toxins that our children already have in their bodies, what's going to happen with their children and developmental delays. And I mean, there's just, it won't be quick. And that's going to be the true tragedy. It's going to be long and painful. Happy times. Should we spin the wheel? Is it time for a shot?
It's time for the wheel, for sure.
All right, I'm bringing it up. Here we go. Ready? Spin.
Yeah, baby.
Thank you, wheel. Okay, I'm getting a shot, but I'm going to spin it again just so we have something fun to keep us going. So I am removing just that one, and I'm
baby.
Oh,
I didn't think we had that on. That was because we didn't have all the categories full.
But I think we do now. So is that like our say what?
Sure. Oh yeah, we took say what off, right?
All right, so I'm removing this, right?
Here we go.
All right.
This is the it's roughly the 1 year anniversary of this little gem.
This banger.
This is the most election of our lifetime.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Oh my God. She kills me. I am intermittently freezing.
I think
says the runs.
Yeah, just when the wheel comes up. It's the wheel. It's all the freezing is wheel related, by the way, which is why Lila, I almost called you Lola. Lila is handling it because if I do it, I lag the entire show. So it's
yeah, I know. We have to figure out a different way to get the effect of the wheel without the wheel. I think we'd be in better shape. Although I did still freeze on Sunday when we don't have a wheel. So
that's true. Are you saying I should build a wheel and like literally have a manual wheel behind me? We could do that.
Oh, do not tempt me with a good time. What are you First, I want to be in a real bar and then a real wheel.
I could even set up a second camera, a wheel camera. Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do wheel cam, and then it could be a cat cam occasionally, and
with a GoPro. I'll put a GoPro on Lucky.
Yeah,
we'll see. Done. All right, we're moving on. What are we moving on to? We are moving on to the worst of the week. Oh my God. Okay, so. So 3 days ago, was it 3 days ago, 4 days ago, 3 days ago, after being told that the safe area for displaced Palestinians who have now, some of them had to pack everything up and move 7, 8 times, watching their children, their parents, their loved ones be obliterated. They're in Rafah, which was supposed to be a safe place, in a refugee camp in tents. And after dropping leaflets from the sky telling people to move again, Israel just dumped 2,000-pound smart bombs. Or these they say they were smart bombs because at first they denied it, of course, just like the hospital in October. I have never seen so many dead babies as I have in the last 10 months, ever. Like, or 8 months.
It's awful. And, just to add to the tragedy, I've never seen so many emaciated children dying of starvation.
Yeah.
And pretending that this isn't happening every day, and we're not all seeing this every day. These people are being asked to leave Rafah
to go to a safe place.
And imagine you have one of those kids that's all skin and bones now. Your kid is skin and bones, and you're going to go on some long travel to a safe space, and then they bomb one of the safe spaces. That's where we're at now. And so this piece of shit comes out every day and just lies and
makes excuses to the White House press who are asking him questions. So this is one of the many worst of the week clips for John Kirby.
How many more charred corpses does he have to see before the president considers a change in policy?
We don't want to see a single more innocent life taken. And I kind of take a little offense at the question. No civilian casualties is the right number of civilian casualties. And this is not something that we've turned a blind eye to, nor has it been something we've ignored or neglected to raise with our Israeli counterparts, including, Ed, this weekend as a result of this particular strike. Now, they're investigating it, so let them investigate it and see what they come up with.
But the president doesn't have like a personal limit to this?
The president has been very clear and very direct about what our expectations are for Israeli operations in Rafah specifically, but in Gaza writ large. We don't support, we won't support a major ground operation in Rafah. And we've, again, been very consistent on that. And the president said that should that occur, then it might make him have to make different decisions in terms of support. We haven't seen that happen at this point.
Why not have him come out and say that himself?
The president has been speaking to leaders throughout the region on a regular basis. He has been addressing you guys in various fora. You've got plenty of opportunities to talk to the president, including, I might add, in a press conference last week.
So wait, I mean, the part that gets me there, I mean, all of it's fucking awful, but like the president has said that should they cross that line, the president has told them that he might have to look at changing things regarding his support. What the fuck is that? That is the weakest policy.
They must be the
earth.
Only people without internet connection, because I see proof of a major ground invasion and civilian casualties every single hour of every day on my phone. I don't know. We need to wire them up with, Spectrum or whatever.
To say that if it did happen, he might have to change course, like that. So that basically that's you got one freebie here kind of thing. Cause he's going to go, well, we're going to have his next step in this statement is going to be, well, now we're going to think about changing policy if 5,000 civilian dies or he's going to come up with he left himself room for the next thing. Cause he's not actually saying, here's the line, do this, we're done. He's never going to do that. He's never going to put a line up.
It's always hazy. They're always questioning the numbers, which, when people do that about the Holocaust, we call that Holocaust denialism. We have a very clear, and they have shut it down. Everybody knows. The UN has talked about it. Human Rights Watch has talked about the fact that the Hamas Ministry of Health has very accurate numbers upon which the US has relied for years. So calling it into question when we are watching a father carry his baby without a head while people are burning alive behind, which we all saw 3 nights ago, in addition to, again, like, what are we on day 224, 36? I don't even know, but like every day we have seen babies picking up pieces of corpses of their siblings and putting them in a backpack. Fathers, mothers holding the pieces of their child in a bloody bag. Like, what do they need to see? It's not that they don't need to see it. It's that they don't care about Palestinians. They do not see them as civilians or as people. They see them as born guilty. They are born terrorists. That is what this administration sees about Palestinians. It is so vile.
I don't even think it's that. I think they're just so, what does this do for the U.S. driven? They don't care. Our government doesn't
What does it do for the U.S. driven? Like, it doesn't help them. We've become the pariahs of the world. Like, everybody, even France is condemning. Like, everybody.
Absolutely, but it's politicians' mindsets are short term. So they're so ingrained in the system where they think, if I go against Israel, I will have all this money spent against me. I will upset all my donors. So it's just a short term thing. It's like they're going to try to get to this tragedy and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Because if they go against Israel, if they have any balls whatsoever to do the most obvious thing that the entire fucking country supports, around the world supports, everybody sees it, they might lose their election.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you're right. It's just their own personal money. Like, I don't know.
Well, like, and personal money as well, because they're all invested in the weapons companies. I mean, you have to make it into the upper stages of the Senate or the House. You are, I don't know. You're probably a narcissist. You probably a psychopath on some level. You've made the deals with the devil for so long that all you know is deals with the devil.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that is their bubble. And they're just, I mean, I also, it's why they've allowed, under both parties, the militarization of our police to shut down dissent. And actually, I mean, watching today, we didn't pull some of these clips, but like the fire hosing of protesters, I think that was in Belgium or Germany. It's just the brutality of cops around the world who are trying to shut down protesters. I think this is like their own form of bunkers, like the billionaire bunkers. They think they're going to protect themselves, but I don't know.
Right,
all right. Yeah.
They all, even the countries that are supporting Palestine, the governments see this as a test of what's to come. And they understand that this is connected to what's to come, because capitalism and the way the world works is not working for the next generation. And they need to build up this police force. They need to make a statement. They need to squash it somehow.
Right.
And thankfully it's not working.
So just as a reminder, in 2022, when Russia first invaded Ukraine, this was the response to civilian casualties from John Kirby.
It's hard to look at what he's doing in Ukraine, what his forces are doing in Ukraine, and think that any ethical, moral individual could justify that. It's difficult to look at It's difficult to look at some of the images and imagine that any well-thinking, serious, mature leader would do that.
I mean, Pat, I'm sorry to disagree with you, but it is hard not to think that has something to do with the color of their skin.
I don't think that's the situation here, even with him. He's just a psychopath. They just care about, he's an actor.
Right. So Putin's
he
bad,
brought out
Putin's
his tears
evil,
for
right.
U.S. policy for Putin.
Yeah. You might be totally
because
right.
if he had emotion, I mean, look, racism is built into it to be able to allow this to happen for sure. I'm not trying to deny that.
No, I know. I'm just trying to figure out I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. And I mean, I do think that they thought that the weakening of Russia would happen with this proxy war. And so that was a fight worth having. I think that you're right, that they think that, we need a friend in this neighborhood, as, we said to Golda Meir years ago, and a U.S. outpost in the Middle East to protect our interests and, the gas lines that are off the shore of Gaza and all that stuff. I think you're right. But I do think the ability to dismiss these people as it's just, casualties of war. It's just what happens. It's, what's it called? There's my brain.
Course.
It's not super messy. Yeah.
It is. That piece of it is largely the bubble, though, too, because think of who's in their ear every day.
Yeah.
In their ear every day is the Israeli politicians, Israeli money, AIPAC. They're not hearing. They're not going to Twitter to watch the videos. They're not watching YouTube videos. They're trying to avoid that because they're told it's propaganda, and I don't know. But I think at the end of this, even with it being a clear genocide and the solution, even if it ends up and we end up destroying the apartheid state in Israel, the U.S. is positioned to be their own force now, regulating the Palestinian-Israeli border and the two-state solution, or whatever results from this. The U.S. will be a presence now as a problem solver.
Yeah.
So even when they get out of this, the U.S. interest, they think, it's a beneficial thing.
Yeah. Have they seen Vietnam or Afghanistan? Because that's what's going to happen. They will be, there will be guerrilla fighters and Hamas fighters and people who their whole objective, their only goal in life will be revenge for what they have had to endure. So I don't know how many U.S. boots will actually be on the ground. We'll come to the big success of the pier in a little bit, but let's continue with our worst of the week. This is how he talked about, I don't know. All right. Just to juxtapose civilian deaths, John Kirby now talking about civilian deaths of Palestinians. This was in October.
This is war. It is combat. It is bloody. It is ugly, and it's going to be messy. And innocent civilians are going to be hurt going forward. I wish I could tell you something different. I wish that wasn't going to happen, but it is going to happen, and that doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it dismissible. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to still express concerns about that and do everything we can to help the Israelis do everything they can to minimize it. But that's unfortunately the nature of conflict.
Yeah. So what's interesting, and I mean, we don't even need to show the clip of this, but it's short. But the next bit, because the press is actually getting much more combative, which I'm thrilled about. They should be that way with everybody in power always. But this feels like it at least was the red line for the press, this war. Asking about, what's Biden's response? Where is his red line? What are we going to do about this? Do you want to say anything before we show this next clip? The investigative self? No.
I think we just show it because it's so obvious he's full of shit that his words speak for themselves.
And what is the administration going to do, whether it was a tragic mistake or deliberate?
Well, let's see what the investigation says.
So you're going to wait for the Israelis to investigate
Let's
themselves?
See what the investigation comes up with. If we had done this, I think we would want the benefit of having the opportunity to investigate it and to figure out what happened.
But it's not the same thing. We're giving them billions of dollars in weapons.
We're giving them the kinds of capabilities they need to defend themselves. Maybe some people have forgotten what happened on the 7th of October, but we haven't. 1,200 Israelis, innocent Israelis, slaughtered, mutilated, raped, tortured. And they're living right next to that kind of threat. Still a viable threat in Rafah, by the way. If you think Hamas is just gone, they're not gone from Rafah or from Gaza. And if you think they've abandoned their genocidal intent towards the nation of Israel, think again, they haven't. So Israel has every right to not want to live next to that kind of threat. And yes, we're going to continue to provide them the capabilities to go after it.
So there he is, just repeating all the lies that have been debunked, right?
And throwing out the 12, like he didn't delineate the 1,200 number. 1,200 right. people were raped and tortured.
Right.
Meanwhile, I mean, we have proof. We'll cover some of the torture stuff a little after this, but
yeah, but like 400 of them were IDF.
We know 400 people killed were IDF. Right. Show me the rapes, please. Show me the rapes.
No, we still have not seen evidence for a single rape. And listen, and I'm not saying that rapes didn't occur. We don't know. Sexual assault, we don't know. Probably it did, because it always occurs when there's war. I'm not.
Yeah, but when you throw out 1,200 raped and you put it in the same sense as the 1,200 number,
exactly.
That's criminal liability.
Yeah. And because their whole, like the atrocity propaganda, as we've discussed so many times, they saw that rape resonated even more than massacres. So that they've just stayed with the weaponization of rape, even though there has been absolutely no proof. And every time that they try to come up with something, it is shown to be a lie. So that is so gross. Also, and I'm sorry, like, I don't ever want anybody to be killed. It doesn't make me happy. I don't think we should ever applaud that. I never want to minimize the death of anybody. That was October 7th. We are now May 29th. And every single day since then, and by the way, for 75 years before then, Palestinians have been dealing with rape by IDF, torture, hostage taking, these detainees that are able to stay that Israel is allowed to take and forced to stay indefinitely with no charges. So it starts to just, again, like, I don't want to make fun of October 7th, but like, I'm at a point where like, I don't want to hear about it anymore. Like, it's so gross that we keep going back to October 7th when there is much more immediate stuff happening every day.
Well, and that's the other piece to his statement, that he's saying that these people are still such a threat to Israel. Are you fucking kidding me? There is no threat to Israel from any of these people being bombed. I mean, even if Hamas got all their shit together, they're not going to harm. They don't. There are no roads to get through. I mean, Israel's manning every possible road, and they're starving. There's nothing. They are not a threat there's no justification for 2,000-pound bombs.
No. And
there never was.
Looking at the Hamas charter from 2017, and like, I can't look into anyone's soul. I can only say what they've written down and presented. They have offered to give up the hostages and were rejected. They have taken every ceasefire deal. And their charter from 2017 explicitly says that they think that Jews and Palestinians can live together, but that Zionists want them to be dead, which is true. We're seeing it. Like, pro-Israeli people. Yeah.
Israelis are saying it. Israeli leadership is saying it,
Yeah. And doing it. They're doing it. So like, this sort of hypothetical of what another group may wish in spite of their actions, like, and again, like, we haven't revisited this recently, but like, that rave concert was not supposed to be occurring where it was. They changed venues. At the beginning of all this, when people were sort of trying to unpack what happened on October 7th, there were many independent journalists who were saying like that, and even Hamas leaders were saying, we did not expect there to be Israeli civilians partying right there. They thought that they were going to military outposts that were near their border or near their walls, cage. So it wasn't like an intentional, I shouldn't say that, because obviously going into some of the kibbutzes, that is different. But again, like the kibbutzes are being watched over by IDF soldiers. And a lot of the people in the kibbutzes have now said that like they were killed by the IDF. I mean, I don't know. There is such confusion on all of that, right? So like, I don't know. It is, it's so disgusting that he can get up there and say that. Yeah, exactly. Who has a rave next to a fucking concentration camp? Thank you. Exactly. That's vile. It is just also disgusting. All right. So just to go back to the investigate yourself aspect of this, we pulled a few graphics about what happens when Israel investigates itself. So we have got, and of course, this is the report. Netanyahu says the airstrike in Rafah on Sunday was a tragic mistake and adds that it will be investigated. So here is this person who put together Elamin Abdel Mahmoud, all these different examples of Israel exonerating itself. This is over the course of almost a decade, and we have close-ups of this, and also Asal Rad, who's a wonderful reporter, and I'm sure most of you follow her, but if you don't, she's great. So this is just like, to see. This was 2005, not guilty. The Israeli captain who emptied his rifle into a Palestinian schoolgirl. Officer ignored warnings that the teenager was terrified. Defense say confirming the kill, standard practice.
Go back to that, because this is the bottom part to me.
Yeah.
An Israeli army officer who fired the entire magazine of his automatic rifle into a 13-year-old Palestinian girl and then said he would have done the same even if she had been 3 years old was acquitted. His words. These people are investigating themselves. That's the U.S. policy. Let's see what they come up with. And their investigation is going to take months.
Or years. And then we'll move on to the next tragedy. I mean, again, like I just keep thinking back to all the hemming and hawing and the days on end and the fake phone calls that were released by the IDF of what they found of 2 Hamas soldiers when that first hospital was bombed, killing hundreds of people.
Oh yeah, all the debate about did they intend
never bomb a hospital? It was a Hamas bomb. Yeah.
There's only one remaining hospital that has a maternity ward left, and it's under siege right now.
Yeah. And
the last maternity ward, which can only handle like 60 people in labor for 1 I don't know how many million people
8 million
that are
people
left there.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, childbirth is the #1 killer of women worldwide. It is a dangerous, traumatic experience for a body to go through. And under the proper supervision all through your pregnancy and during your labor and all of that, we mostly have good results, although the US doesn't have as good results as many other countries. But it is traumatic, even in the best of times. It is trauma to a person's body. To be doing it during active attacks on you with no prenatal care and no there's no not sanitation, sterilization, there's no epidural, there's no painkiller. People are having C-sections with no anesthesia. I mean, like,
and how many pregnant women are being asked to move now to another place
and are starving, so they can't feed their baby.
Imagine moving, like, hey, you have to move 100 miles from the hospital where the only place you can give birth to this baby, which doesn't have anesthesia, or like you said, it's
nothing sterilized.
That's the world we're just like, they haven't crossed the red line yet. They haven't crossed the red line yet.
It's just war. I'll flip through these because there's so many, but this is over, Gaza Israeli army clears itself in 21 deaths. That's 2008. Israeli army clears itself in Gaza war, 2009. Israel exonerates itself over Gaza beach killings of 4 children last year. Israeli investigation says missile attack that killed the boys aged between 9 and 11 was a tragic accident, in findings contradictory to journalists' report from the scene. I mean, we all know this.
Investigating yourself is such a ridiculous, like, it's a non-starter. Like, the idea that the media is accepting this answer, you know, these few people that questioned him, Kirby, aren't accepting it. But like, you're not seeing this stuff on CNN or MSNBC. No. They're not showing you the interviews where Kirby looks like an idiot.
No. They don't say anything about it at all because most people in that liberal and conservative bubble see, you know, they think about it as a rough neighborhood. They have been taught and propagandized from a very early age, their whole lives, that Muslims, Arabs are terrorists, and they want the destruction of Israel. And it's anti-Semitic to prohibit Israel from defending itself. Like, yeah.
All right. I don't want to feed the trolls, but I just want to point out here, the trolls are back. My name's not Pat the Burner, and that should tell you that I'm not sheepdogging. And I don't think the systems works. I don't think we should support these politicians. I don't think voting is going to solve anything. And if you keep saying that I'm a sheepdog, you're not listening to the show. So why are you even fucking here?
Yeah. Pretty clear why. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We do have, I don't know, do we even, anyway, people have been pushing him, which is great, but there are no changes at all in our policy. And in fact, you know, it's very clear, you know, New York Times, which is the mouthpiece for the Biden administration and the State Department, did not violate President Biden's warning not to launch a large-scale military operation. We do know that it was our U.S. bombs that were the ones that were dropped in Rafah. Not that, I mean, who else's would they be? But, you know, when the ICC came down with its decision, not only did Biden and his whole State Department reject their outrageous bid, right, for warrants for Israeli leaders, that is the whole international rule of law, the order. That was the thing that, you know, we've heard. That's what, you know, what Tony Blinken a year ago said separated the U.S. and Israel from Hamas is a respect for the rules of war.
Yeah, we have that clip here. This is like so hypocritical. Like,
just disgusting. Do you see it
just
there?
amazing. This is the guy right here.
And of course, what separates Israel, the United States, and other democracies when it comes to incredibly difficult situations like this is our respect for international law and, as appropriate, the laws of war. So we know that Israel will take all of the precautions that it can, just as we would. And again, that's what separates us from Hamas.
But I think that's a key point. Like, what are the international rules of law? Like, what organization do you think maintains the international rules of law if it's not the ICC?
Yeah. It's not the ICC. It's not the ICJ. We reject their findings. They're anti-Semitic. They're Hamas. I mean, it's just, and so like, now what do they say? Like, I wish that all of these videos, and here's the thing, you know, when liberals used to spend a lot of time calling Republicans out on their hypocrisy, it just felt so pathetic because obviously Republicans don't care about their hypocrisy. They do whatever they want to do. They don't care. They'll say one thing one day and turn around the very next day and do the exact opposite when it benefits them. We all know that. And for a long time, I thought that there were, I do think there are possibly some Democratic voters that would be interested to see the hypocrisy, but they will still make excuses. But clearly nobody in power gives a shit. They just say whatever they want to say. If it's about the ICC, or ICJ calling up Putin, ICC saying there's a warrant for Putin, they respect that. If it's for Netanyahu, they don't. If it's for Hamas leader, they do. It's none of it matters. They are all the same. There is absolutely no difference between this whole posse and George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Trump. They are all the same.
Yep. And the Republican Party is just as bad. I just want to remind people that Nikki Haley's signing bombs here.
And we're going after her.
We're going to go into all the Israeli stuff now.
Yeah.
Just, might as well. But what did she write? Finish them, America. Israel always. So the good thing for her is when the bomb hits, it's going to have so much heat and explosion that you're not going to have her signature on a bomb. But can you imagine, I wish they were all stamped Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, Congress 2024.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, she's not the only one. She's vile. But didn't Jerry Seinfeld come and hold the bomb? I mean, there's been a lot of people who have gone over and signed.
Didn't Fetterman too?
Yeah.
Somebody else.
I think. Yeah. But a lot of them. It's just so sick. I mean, it is so deeply sick. There is never a time that anybody should be happy about war ever. And these people are embracing it and then penalizing or chastising, censuring Rashida Tlaib for saying from the river to the sea, but never Brian Mast for saying finish them, or any of these other scum who talk about wanting to destroy every person in Palestine.
Yeah. So what we've got the IDF donates to AIPAC, and AIPAC funds our politicians. That's.
And so the U.S. was going to sanction one of the more obviously, crime against humanity divisions of the IDF, and didn't, because the leader of that battalion funds or gives money to AIPAC.
That's where we're at.
That's right. And then also there was this huge expose in plus 972. I was going to say 971, and now I can't remember the code. Sorry, 972 plus 972. That the head of Mossad was actually threatening one of the ICC prosecutor and her family. You don't want to be getting into things that could compromise your security or that of your family. Threatening them.
Well, I mean, we have the U.S. letter signed by 20 or so
right.
Republicans basically doing the same thing, saying it's not going to be safe to travel. We've got, what was it? Netanyahu himself, we showed the video last week. He said, because the ICC, if the warrant, with the warrant in place, they asked him on CNN, I think of all places.
Yeah.
Is it safe for you to travel? And he said, the people who should question if it's safe to travel are the ICC members. I mean, that's where we're at.
They're very comfortable with these threats. Yeah.
Threatening,
and they're being backed up and supported by the U.S. administration.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
No.
Well, I was just going to say really quickly that, when all of this stuff started coming out very publicly about Harvey Weinstein, most of us in LA knew about it way before. One of the things, though, that was revealed that I did not know was the women who were accusing him and trying to come forward years before the story broke by Ronan Farrow, was that Mossad agents, ex-Mossad agents who were living in New York, Weinstein hired to follow these women. They would do background checks on them. They would threaten them. They would try to blackmail them. This is their MO. This is what they do. But to be doing it that's appalling. But to do it at this international level is.
And on open, on TV, these, and in a signed letter, if you're the Republicans, what the fuck?
With no censure from Congress. Rashida Tlaib said, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And she will then back it up and say, what I mean by that is I want Palestinians and Israelis to live side by side in a truly democratic state. And when the other side says, I want to kill all Palestinians, they're all Hamas, nothing. There's just nothing.
Yeah. So let's get to the aid that's going in right now, because we've got
at least one thing's
the
going
entire country in famine right now.
This is Steven Semler, who does such a good job always of creating these graphics that show very clearly that what the 2024 average should be based on needs is 14.2 thousand tons of food. Is that right? Sorry, I need to put my thing. Food
truckloads
imports,
per month.
Truckloads
food
per
imports
month.
into Gaza. Yeah.
Okay. That's the yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously the pier is collapsing.
The pier that was hundreds of millions of dollars.
It was 300+ million, right? And so I don't know if we have the numbers on it because you pulled these few slides, but you pulled most of them actually. Kudos.
No,
thank you. You did all the work.
Shut up.
I pulled the cat videos.
Liar.
But so daily, the most humanitarian groups think they need about 600 trucks of food every fucking day,
which we had
600.
Waiting out there.
600. But do you know how many made it from the pier? So from the pier, in the entirety of the pier, 70. So you need 600 food trucks per day. 600 food trucks per day. 70 made it from the pier. Of those 70, not 70 didn't reach people because they were interrupted with Hamas. I mean, IDF stuff, checkpoints, civilians interrupting. So we spent $300 and something million to get not even a tenth of the daily requirement, an eighth of the daily requirement.
And it's like, it's so absurd because we know that well, first of all, completely defunded UNRWA, which was the organization on the ground that could actually, I mean, nothing's doing the full work of what needs to be done.
But all the other aid
given
groups,
the circumstances,
all the other aid groups said that we don't have the infrastructure that UNRWA has.
Yeah.
We can't do it. Even if we had all the money, we couldn't do what UNRWA does.
Based on completely unsubstantiated allegations, which they've never even tried to come up with any proof at all, Israel, that there were UNRWA workers who were part of October 7th. And we still have it. Like, and Biden, one of the bills that just went through was prohibited from funding them again through 2025. So then we come up with this stupid pier issue, but the problem is not access, like actual access. The problem is that his no red line Netanyahu and his IDF and the crazies who are blocking the ability for these trucks to enter at entry points that exist aren't allowing them. So
let's just imagine hypothetically that that Israel means well or whatever, the war's justified, but we want to get aid in. If that's the case, like that's the fake US case, right? That's what they're telling the public.
Yeah.
The way you would handle that responsibly is say, the US troops will handle the Rafah border. US troops will come in there. We will administer that. We will make sure aid gets through, or you don't get a single weapon.
Right.
I mean, that's like the easiest. It's still wrong. It's still bad, but like at least you'd be getting humanitarian aid. We have no interest in getting humanitarian aid because we're supporting Israel in this genocide entirely.
Entirely. Because now what happened was Israel had IDF soldiers stationed in Crete, which is where the food that was going to come to the pier had to go through inspections, and they were denying food coming through there. So of course it wasn't about building a new place to procure
that was
the aid.
$30 million spent to placate Americans to make a couple people think we were doing our best.
Yeah.
Like it was an election move.
Totally. And then here is what's happening to the actual food because of the blockade. So all of those trucks that have just been stranded on the highway, basically, or on their, roads, were just that all of the food had to basically be thrown away because it's just been sitting there and it's spoiled. So, that's another, I mean, I don't know how much money that is. And also, I mean, whatever, money, yes, money, of course, but also like food that would nourish people in between bombs. I don't know. It just, I mean, like we're in such absurd, like this, it feels like an exercise in exhausting people having to refute all of the lies until you're just like, well, you're right, it's over. Like you just kill everybody now, kill us all now. Like that's the plan.
I mean, I think what they're hoping for is eventually, with enough police brutality at the protests and the media in their hand being able to spin things and the learned helplessness that none of this is changing anything, that they can spin with the media that somehow things are a little bit better and people just go back in their houses and simmer down.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, that's what they want. They want us to think we have no power. And so when you really realize, holy shit, we have no power and they're beating the fuck out of us, it's easy to grab onto some news that's like, oh, this thing's quieting down, it's calming down, we changed course, and so people, it's the pussy hat thing, we'll just get you guys back in because Biden won, so we don't have to worry about it. BLM's over, BLM, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Biden won, so it's but but they're not gonna, it's not gonna work. There's too much media attention to this. We're in a new era.
Yeah, I think so too. One of the things that's happening that I think is really unfortunate, but like, of course it's what's going to happen, is that then, it's one thing to say, even though Hamas was unpopular, when there felt like there was some hope for peace, right? And then whenever that hope is taken away, like with the March of Return, the peaceful March of Return, where the IDF soldiers were like explicitly sniping people's kneecaps. So all of a sudden there was a whole new group of amputated children and adults. And when those things happen, then people do turn to the one group that feels like they're actually fighting for our liberation. And then I think in a broader way, the Houthis, like we're looking at the Houthis blocking some ships. And it's hard not to feel, a lot of joy that somebody's actually taking some real action to stifle this ongoing genocide. And yet you don't want to align yourself with people who would actually want your total demise. It's like what I think like a lot of, what they call tankies are like, oh, the, Iranian leaders who were just killed, like I think what happens is desperate people go different ways. There's the group of libs who want to look for the pink pussy hats, or look, at least we're trying the pure. Biden means well. He is really frustrated. He gave them a red line. What do you want him to do? So they go for that place from hope. And then I think the other extreme, which for me right now is much more understandable, is sort of wanting to support anybody who's fighting this, but it can make for really unsavory, to put it mildly, alliances. So like, I guess I just want to put that caution out there, but I don't know. They're not leaving us any options.
No, I mean, you
don't want to ally yourself with people who want you to die.
Whatever helps Palestine the most at this point, I'm mostly going to be supporting. And I think most of the world kind of feels that. Like, they've lived in prison conditions and they're getting annihilated in a genocide. And we're all watching it. We know Israel's a bad guy. Everybody knows it. It doesn't mean I support, like, another October 7th where you go into Israel and kill civilians. And I don't think that would help their cause either. It would be the worst thing they could do at this point. But you have to if you're educated on the situation there, you have empathy for the plight of the people there. And you just understand they
They've been the victims of Western imperialism for centuries.
Thank you.
So, it's hard not to sympathize with that. But it does just feel so bleak. Oz, I'm seeing this now, and before I get like booted out, which always happens, we want to thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you, Oz. Thank you. That is very generous. Thank you. Just always want to make sure we get to do that, because there are times that we get shut down and have to start a new live stream, and then we don't see that. Okay, so what else do we have on Israel? I mean, we got a lot. Yeah. Jesus, the media portrayal. Again, Asal Rod she's so good commenting on media narratives and headlines. And so, Bloomberg says Israel to expand Rafah campaign. That sounds so lovely. You got a campaign in Rafah? Hey. After 1 million civilians are moved, forced to flee again with nowhere safe to go. And then I'll see people say, well, they were told, they were given advance warning. Why didn't they leave? I don't know. Every time they leave, they're killed anyway. So why would you leave your home where maybe you have a little bit of comfort?
And you're starving. Now imagine you're starving.
Yeah.
Now imagine you've done this journey over the last 6 months. You've been there, moved every time.
Yeah.
Life is miserable. It's,
Yeah.
You have a pregnant wife. She can't make the trip. You have a toddler that's starving. Your kid is starving. He can't make the trip.
And you're starving, by the way. I know I'm super privileged. I don't like being uncomfortable for a minute. I can't see without my glasses or my contacts. Nobody can go to a doctor for just regular stuff. And by the way, at the beginning, they were saying COVID was ravaging people at the beginning of this war because everybody was just kind of being smushed together. But that's the least of their worries now. But sucks to have COVID actually when you're sick and when you're drinking crappy water and you have dysentery. And there are so many different things, any one of which would put all of us in a hospital. And instead,
you're traveling through already bombed places with
raw sewage everywhere, and
and you're moving away. So Rafah was the port of entry for the humanitarian aid. So you're moving farther away from aid as well.
Yeah.
All of it is none of it. The world doesn't make any sense to you if you're living over there, and it shouldn't, because the whole world knows this is happening and they're not doing anything.
This was a pretty good response. I'm just going to put it up here for a second.
Why are you so surprised? For 8 months you sat idly, watching them die, haughtily refusing to call it a genocide. You promoted their propaganda, you peddled their lies, made excuses for their actions, defended their crimes. You called us anti-Semitic, that we were filled with hate, a pathetic attempt to deflect all of our cries away, when all we were saying was nowhere in Gaza was safe. You rebuked us for our chants, censored the oppressed, as though our slogans were more condemnable than our actual deaths. We begged you to speak up, to stop their tanks and their jets, yet you watched it all unfold and remained silent instead. So please don't act like you're surprised about charred bodies and babies without heads. History will record where you stood and the words that you said. The world will always remember, and I assure you, Gaza will never forget.
Sorry, I thought that I think that was we always want to give credit. I thought it was more prominently stamped One Path Network, but it is really hard to watch some of these people who are now finally coming around. And I know we should welcome people whenever they get here.
Are you talking about Piers?
Piers is, and I think for a lot of people, the World Kitchen bombing was what did it, and there was quite a bit of consternation from those of us who had been here all along, thinking like, was it just because there were white people or Americans who were killed or Abraham? Like, what was the difference that finally got you for these 7 people, which is horrible? Like, again, nobody, but like by that point, 30,000 people at least had been slaughtered. So that seemed to be a turning point for some people. And then this latest Rafah bombings, because it's happened like since the first night where we saw people burning alive and the man with his beheaded baby. They have done that every night after. So it's been at least 3 days after that first horrible mistake. They've now done that 2 more times at least. But yeah, it's hard to see people finally waking up. I don't know. I'm not sure how to respond to them. I am having a hard time with it because I think what I'm supposed to do is be like, great, so glad you're here, but I just can't totally do it.
It's easier for me to probably embrace them, I think.
Yeah.
In a sense, maybe you being Jewish makes it even harder in a sense because, like, you know, you saw through a lot more than these people had to see the truth. The truth was in front of these people the whole time. Like, I mean, you grew up with.
Thank you for saying that. I understand what you're saying.
Zionism
like
as a
right, yeah.
And I just feel like it's some of it is them finally coming to terms with what he was saying, that history is going to judge them, and seeing how wrong they are now. Like, I think they just dug into their position, and then they're doing the work of U.S. government, state media kind of work. But look, if they're on board and they get more people to change course, it doesn't mean I support them. But
no, I know.
Come on out, Pierce Morgan, be against the war. You were such a scumbag.
I mean, the fact that they're still talking about the beheaded babies or the rape, like, it's just so, okay. We do have, I don't know, we're going to talk about, I know it's just like, it's all so depressing. Do you think we need just like to call an audible so we can just move on to the torture report, or what do you think?
The torture? Oh, we didn't even show the torture report.
We didn't show the torture report. And then the one thing I did want to show, because I think Nora Erekat, who's brilliant, she's a law professor. I'm going to get everything wrong. I think it might be Rutgers, but she's fantastic. But is once again, the same, like, the thing that everybody does, like, what about October 7th? What about your Jewish people who are still upset because they're in a dangerous neighborhood? And she just handles it so beautifully. So I just feel like it would be great to show those 2 videos, but also maybe we need like something just.
You want a break?
I think listen, I'm going to call my audible. Can I do it?
Do it.
I'm going to do it.
Push that.
Cheers. Okay. We're going to watch the horrible video, and then we'll watch the one where Nora Erekat handles, I think it was PBS. But first, this is from Euromed, because they've been documenting actual cases with real supporting evidence of the torture that Palestinians have endured when they have been taken hostage by
Are you frozen, Lila?
I'm.
Oh, God. Of course she is. Just in time. Strike came and is very unhappy right now. Okay. That was a great video. I mean, the torture, they documented it very well. We have some. I can't even see to push my slides here. Why don't I just go to a distracted video? Here we go.
Huh? Oh.
Bella, do you like squash? Bella, do you like bell peppers? Bella, do you like pineapple? Bella, do you like carrots? Bella, do you like mangoes?
I needed that laugh. That was really cute. Torturing a puppy, but that's actually very cute. Damn it, StreamYard, they do this to me all the time.
All right. I know we need to end the segment because we have very little time left, but let's show Nora. How do you pronounce her name?
Ericat. Yes.
Ericat.
You say there's part of the political fabric of the Palestinian movement, and I wonder how you think of it from the Jewish perspective when they say this is a force that has called for the end of the Jewish state. How could you ask those 7 million Jews in Israel to find a way to live alongside Hamas? What would you say to that?
This is not an objection from Jewish people around the world. This is an objection from Zionists, be they Jewish Zionists, be they American Zionists, be they Christian Zionists, even if they are Muslim Zionists. They believe in a state that it is exclusively a Jewish demographic majority at the expense of an indigenous population whose land must be taken from them and who must be constantly dispossessed and forced into exile. This equation in and of itself is unsustainable, has been determined as a form of apartheid by human rights legacy organizations like Human Rights Watch, as well as Israeli or human rights organizations like B'Tselem. Apartheid is a regime by which law and policy is used in order to maintain the racial superiority of one group over another. It is only through that thorough dehumanization of the racial other that this genocide is possible, that it has been accepted that babies be burnt alive in plastic tents for their displacement, who are suffering from a famine without access to hospitals and burn units, where we can still be asking the question about whose safety is now at risk and should be prioritized.
I mean, it's appalling, and it should be humiliating for any journalist to say, what about the safety of Jews at this point? I'm sorry. Like, we can talk about that when the genocide ends.
Yeah.
Strike. All right. Are we spinning, or do you feel like you just spun because you did the puppets, or what?
Spin another one. I think we have to decide whether we do economy or 2020 cover.
All right. I think that because we're talking meme manager, we should do that, because the economy sucks and it's going to suck next week also. What do you think?
Yeah. So let's spin the wheel and then we'll do, we'll get back to 2024 stuff.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, we already did say what.
All right. We already did say what. We could do comedian or we could do a here. What do you think? I'm removing it. Or should we just baby.
We're letting go.
Thank you.
You guys want a shot?
Thank you.
Spinning the wheel again.
All right, I'm going to remove that. I'll pour a shot, and then I got it. 1 second. Remove. Okay, spin.
Yeah, baby.
And I didn't take away the puppet. Oh my god. Okay, stop. Yeah, let's do that. I'm removing this. Now I have to pour 2 shots, and you're showing the timeline counts, right?
Have you noticed there's been a lot of watermelons on social media lately? I know Americans are like, I didn't know summer fruits were already in season. There's some kind of watermelon harvest going on? The watermelon is a symbol of Palestinian identity, and it's not because we like the taste. Who doesn't? There's a story behind it. After the 1967 war, Israel occupied the West Bank and Gaza and made it illegal to wave a Palestinian flag. 26 years. A Palestinian could not wave their own flag in their own homeland. So, as usual, Palestinians found a way. And someone noticed that the Palestinian flag resembled the exact same colors as the watermelon. Red, green, black, and white, which is quite good luck to find a fruit that resembles a 4-colored flag. A lot of countries don't have that same luck. Like India would have to be a cantaloupe. Mexico could be a strawberry. Put a bird on it. And the United States would be a popsicle. Because that's the only red, white, and blue food. And it's fitting because we're not too keen on eating fruit out here. I actually wanted to make sure that joke was entirely accurate. So I Googled red, white, and blue food. The first thing that comes up, a popsicle. And not just any popsicle, a specific popsicle that we make here in the United States. It's called a bomb pop. We have a popsicle called a bomb pop? When I saw that, it was like, am I writing a joke or is the joke writing me? It's a real thing. The bomb pop was created in the United States in Kansas City in the 1960s, specifically during the Cuban popsicle crisis. The timing was not coincidental. It was basically our way to flex on Russia. Be like, yeah, Russia, you don't want to look in our freezers, bro. Talk about a Cold War. I think about the bomb pop a lot because Palestinians have been stigmatized as being violent, as being terrorists. When Palestinians' symbol of identity and resistance is a watermelon. If you've noticed, the watermelon's being posted all across the world in order to spread awareness of the Palestinian cause. It's a weapon of resistance. The main Palestinian weapon is a sweet, tasty dessert. Meanwhile, America's sweet, tasty dessert is a bomb on a stick. And so every time one of our warmongering American politicians has the audacity to call another country a threat, it's like, bruh, check your freezer, dude. You got warheads in there that you're gonna suck on. Do you understand? When the brain freeze hits, let me know.
Sammy Obaid, he's great.
He is really good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Watch more of his stand-up.
Yeah, definitely.
He's Palestinian, but
Palestinian American.
He was hilarious before that. Like, but now, he's almost less funny because it's all about Palestine now. But he's a really
he's really great, and he's also, I think he was like a PhD mathematician. Like, he's really smart. He does math jokes and can make them funny.
Oh, so was I, allegedly.
Yeah, I know, that's your whole thing. All right, let's go to the meme manager.
What do we got on the meme manager?
Well, the great news is Democratic establishment and Biden campaign is freaking out. They are hiring a meme manager. The position comes with a salary of up to $85,000. I mean, they did one meme well. Which was I hate all of it, but like when the fuck Joe Brandon thing happened, and then they kind of co-opted it and did the laser eyes and the dark Brandon and all that crap. I can't stand any of it, but that resonated with a certain group of the vote blue, no matter who. But now they are losing their base. They're losing Black voters. They're losing Hispanic voters. They're losing young voters. Yeah.
No, they're just losing the meme war. That's all. They're just losing the meme war. If they could just do a little better.
Meme harder. You don't even need to vote.
Cool memes, dank memes. Remember the Bernie dank meme days? I love the Bernie dank meme days.
God.
Buff Bernie was promoted. That image, the coloring book of Buff Bernie was like allegedly a Russian plot
to
push out, Buff Bernie.
That $100,000 meme campaign from Russia had nothing on the billions of dollars that Hillary spent.
Yeah, and we know how well those toddler kids that are like 15 and 16.
Oh my God, those coked up like Harry Sisson or whatever.
Yeah,
allegedly coked up. But just that energy.
It is you are the uncool kid when you are supporting that. So like, I have no fear. Like, hire the best meme manager on earth. We can out meme you. We know this from years of resistance.
Yeah, we can out meme you, and also like reality. You have no way of fighting the reality. They're not going to change policy. Reality on the ground persists, and no meme in the world will be enough, because the truth is the people who would possibly respond to that are the older people, and they're not on social media. So like, I don't know who they're memeing for.
The visual game, like this will beat all the memes that Biden's campaign will put out. This is a Syrian artist, and that's America right there.
This is the freedom they brought us from the ruins of his house. I did hear, because in the community notes, that was AI generated or whatever, like computer generated from the guy.
Right.
I don't know if those were the actual pieces of his house, but his house was demolished by U.S. bombs. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to community notes yourself out of the imagery. You know what I mean? That's the whole point, is that he created, as a digital artist, this image. So anyway, it's just a how you doing kids thing that is not going to work. You can't PR, like you're talking about a generation tuned into all these graphic, terrible images, and you're going to come out
shallow.
Laser-eyed Biden memes are going to suddenly work,
They keep trying to paint them as being like these shallow kids who've never even been to Israel or Palestine. They don't even know the Mediterranean Sea or the Jordan River, like whatever. Like they keep trying to act like they're these ignorant, shallow Gen Z millennials who are lazy and eat avocado toast. And it turns out they're putting their bodies on the line, fighting.
This is the demographic they really need to appeal to win, and all they are doing is constantly insulting them. And like, just this post is insulting to them. Like, you're just going to hire a meme manager. Like,
gross. I feel like that started. Well, maybe it was just when I became aware of it, but like after Nader in 2000, which as we all know was lost because of the corrupt Supreme Court and the Bush family and, Cheney, Dick Cheney, and who is the other guy? Karl Rove. And also we know that there were 200,000 Democrats in Florida who voted for Bush, as opposed to the 90,000 who voted for Nader there. But the blaming the voter for not winning, to me, I just always think Hillary in that.
Oh.
That's just all Hillary, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that just makes me think, look, this meme manager, they're not even going to be making Trump memes. They're going to be making Jill Stein memes. They're going to make Cornel West memes. They're going to make RFK Jr. memes. They're going to be attacking people for being so stupid to think you have an option besides Trump. They're going to be attacking progressives. Like that's their game.
And trying to make Biden look cool, which will be combated by actual footage of him, falling upstairs, garbling his words and saying racist things.
Yeah. I mean, we pulled this cartoon, which isn't even like very well made. I mean, it's kind of a simplistic, it makes the point, is my point.
That's a meme that resonates, right? That's
not even like, this is something somebody made in their, you don't even need Photoshop for that. I don't know. It's simple. It's very simple. It's not a cartoonist, and it still is powerful compared to whatever they can put out.
Yeah. So they are freaking out, and I don't know where the I did have the words from this and I don't see it now, which is fine, but that's too bad, because in this article, which is different from the meme manager one, which was MSNBC. This is from Politico. Dems in full-blown freakout over Biden. There was an excerpt where one of the off-the-record campaign manager people who was interviewed said, when I have a list of all the things that could lose Biden the election, instead of saying it out loud, I pass my phone with the list to the donor, let him read it while I pour myself a drink. Like, they are at this point very well aware, even if you sometimes hear, Biden and his closest circle making excuses and saying this happened before, they always underestimate us, look what happened in the midterms, all that kind of stuff. I saw our troll earlier say something that he'll believe or she'll believe that we are really not, shit libs or sheepdogging people or whatever the hell, if we tell people to boycott the elections entirely. So first of all, I would never tell anybody how to vote any which way. I was thinking about this even before this person who's decided to bless us with the presents. Because, as an actress, one of the things, like when you are told to and then you ignore your mother coming in or your annoying brother, you just ignore him. And it's so uninteresting to watch somebody just turn away and ignore, because there's nothing active there. And it's much more interesting to watch the actor take the person in, maybe even attempt to say something, change a mind. And this can all happen silently, and then make the sort of positive choice to walk away, or now pick up a book and read it, or do something to show that there was something that could happen that now I've taken away, as opposed to just turning away in the first place. It's it gives it a little more texture. And one of the problems, and I don't know what the South African voter turnout was before the boycotts, but we have such low turnout anyway, that all it would do at this point, I think, is feed the narrative that young people don't vote. People still think, in spite of what we showed a clip from this last week, but in spite of what the actual numbers say, they say young people don't vote. The left is always just going to vote for third party or stay home or whatever. So, and because we have a 48% voter turnout normally in general elections, I don't know that it would have an impact as much as voting for a third party. I wish we could all get behind one third party to have maximum weight, but I don't know the best way to maximize our influence.
Look, they why would they care that you didn't vote?
Yeah.
You're disenfranchised. That's great for them, because now there's a smaller market that they need to cater to.
Yeah.
At least a protest vote, in my mind, it doesn't condone the system. It says, fuck the Democrats.
Right.
I'm a leftist, ask me questions. You take polls, and they do exit polls, and they realize, 18 to 24-year-olds fucking hate his Palestinian policy.
Right.
They think the economy is shit. If you don't vote, none of that gets registered.
Yeah.
So it's not saying that this is a solution, but it's just it's a data point that can be brought up when people see it after the fact, that could nudge some people another direction, where not voting, I just don't see what it does. I mean,
they can interpret it any which way.
I don't look, I'm not saying I'm mad at you if you don't vote.
Right.
This system is fucked. We all agree it's fucked, and there's no political solution to it at this point. But I still think registering your dissent is more valuable than not registering it, I guess, is what it comes down to.
I agree, especially in our country where we already have such low voter turnout and where money speaks more than anything else. So honestly, they would love nothing more than for nobody to show up and for them to just coronate. I mean, they already did it, right? That's why we didn't have primaries.
Right. They love when young people didn't vote, young people voting now. That used to be the Democrats, they would turn out more young people, and that's how they win these elections. Well, if young people turn out now, they're more against Biden than ever.
Right.
So it's not good. So, the meme wars are going to they're going to save that. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but
yeah,
that's
where we are. It's not a super positive ending to our show, and there's a video here, and I don't know what it is that you added at the end. Do you know what that is? Oh, you're muted. Are you muted, or can I just not hear you?
Oh, that was an emergency timeline cleanse.
Because I keep getting
once you're gone, like I'm not doing this show on my own, like ever.
I think
you're gone.
It's
a
good job. You do a great job when I'm gone. It's like when all the fun starts when I leave the room.
I mean, it'll be fun. Maybe, but I need more videos.
All right, so that's kind of it for 2024. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we can wrap up.
Except this should make everybody feel good. It's going to be almost 100% just a virtual convention.
When you can't even hold it, I mean, we're talking about a room full of people. You just get an audience of all Democratic, DNC stooges they're everywhere. There's so many of them, party people, but they're scared they can't even get a room of like 500 people that supports the Democratic Party together without a Palestine, anti-genocide protest breaking out.
The craziest thing is also, it's so disgusting, the optics, when people are like, no more genocide, ceasefire now, no more bombs. And then the Democrat, like whatever, the vote blue, no matter who people are like, 4 more years. Like, it is so crazy that that's the response. 4 more years. Like,
yeah, 4 more years of genocide. That's your response. Right. Yeah. But wait till the optics hit. Like, I know we already started this election, cycle that like we're there, it's starting, but like we really haven't gotten until the debates kick in.
Oh, I can't.
You don't have this contrast really put in the public's eye, but Trump's going to hold these huge rallies like he used to.
I mean, just look what just happened in Pennsylvania.
Biden's going to have a nomination party where it's all virtual.
We joked on Sunday that Biden couldn't fill a gym. And today they showed him rallying in Pennsylvania in a half-filled high school gym. Like, I don't know. It's just really depressing. Reflect the Sun. Thank you. You are always so generous. We are so appreciative. Thank you. That's such a beautiful thing. Thank you. And that brings a smile to my face. I've been so negative this whole show. I'm sorry.
It's hard with all the news with Israel to find some positive and cheer something about, but
yeah,
that's where my cat comes in right here.
Yeah, we got to find our moments of joy. Strike, hello.
Biting the shit out of me, but
she's really cute.
Cute.
I have to bring Lucky, and so Strike and Lucky can meet my dog.
All right.
You all are awesome. Oh, she's biting you for real. Oh my gosh.
I'm not kidding.
She's got some anger issues.
Yeah. So do I.
You guys are all awesome. We will be back on Sunday, possibly with no comedians because we'll figure it out. We'll figure it busted on it. But thank you so much. This is University of Toronto protests, and keep punching up, everybody. Love you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
As instructors bound by the duty to foster our students' well-being, we are being told to step aside as our students are endangered. We echo the words of the Ontario Federation of Labour from their statement of support, adding our own twist. We say to our administration, if you decide to move against the students, you'll have to go through us first. We also implore our administration to remember that we are U of T. The administration is not the university. You are the custodians of our precious mission, and you are failing the U of T community. There is still time, however, to do the right thing. Meet the students' demands and stand on the right side of history. Yeah.
You mentioned that if the university or the police were to come in, they'd have to go through the faculty. The OFL said they'd have to go through labor first. Are you committing that if the police do come here, you all will be standing
Yes.